Well, welcome to this month's edition of Trainer's Corner featuring Dawn Knapp. This is Allison DeCanio. I'm the president of the Pegasus Project. It was such a windy day that all Dawn's narration would be intolerable because of the wind blowing on the microphone. So I'm just going to tell you what he's saying. Who we have here is Gus. Gus is a 12 to 13-year-old male mule that we rescued from the slaughterhouse truck in Oklahoma. We brought Gus down here a couple of months ago. He had an injured eye. So we gave him some time to get over his eye injury and to get settled in here. He was pretty unhappy and unsettled when he arrived, but he's turned out to be a really sweet animal, and we really think a lot of him. We were told that Gus rides, but this will be our first time to try him out. So Dawn's going to put the saddle on him. You can see here that Gus saw the saddle and tried to leave. What that tells us is that he was probably always tied when he was saddled in the past, and we like to teach the horses here to stand at liberty and stand still to be saddled. So Dawn backs him up, and you can see that Gus is doing pretty well here. He's standing still for that part. So Dawn's going to move the saddle around on him, give him a little bit of motion. See, Gus is walking off there. He's going to very politely just ask him to stand still. We'll give him a lot of time to get used to that because he's 12 or 13. He's never known anything different. This is not his fault that he is uneducated on how to behave when being saddled. Again, with a cinch, he's trying to walk forward. So Dawn's just going to kind of go with him so that Gus doesn't feel overly corrected. And again, you can see that he's willing. And once he understands what Dawn's doing, he does stand politely. So one of the first things that we like to do is after they're saddled, to send them out to make sure they can accept the saddle without bucking. The fact that Gus is walking here calmly, it looks like he's carried a saddle before. So Dawn's going to ask for a little bit more motion, maybe a trot. And he's giving a little bit of pressure, and Gus takes off into a canter, which is fine. But you can tell by the fact that he's carrying the saddle without, it doesn't cause him much concern. The back cinch there is pretty tight. It doesn't bother him. And he's got a good draw, and he comes right back into Dawn. So Dawn can tell here that this is a horse, or actually a mule, that's very unlikely to buck with him. So now he's going to bridle him. Once again, you can see that Gus has never been properly taught to stand for the bridle. This is something that Dawn will end up spending quite a bit of time on teaching him. So here he is, he's getting it adjusted. Gus has a quite large head. He's a big boy, probably pretty close to 16 hands, probably 15, 2.5, 15, 3 hands tall. Now that he's got him saddle secured, bridle on, we like to teach our animals here at the Pegasus Project to stand near a wall, a mounting block, a fence. Lots of our adopters are children or women who may not be that tall and like to mount their animals from an elevated position. So we work with all of ours to do that. And you can see Gus is standing very nicely here for Dawn to mount him with the mounting block. Now that's something that we would not really like for him to happen, is for him to walk off the minute that Dawn gets on him. This again shows that while he's probably been ridden quite a bit, he's never really been taught properly. We want our animals to stand still to be mounted. So that'll be something Dawn will work on over time. But when you're putting the first ride on an unknown horse, you like to make sure they keep their feet moving. So Dawn is going to walk him around. And here he's asking him for the backup. Again, he's very bracy. He doesn't understand. So Dawn, the second he backed up, Dawn released it. So we're just edited it to show you the more important parts of the ride. Everything that Gus did here was fine. Dawn's asking for him to move those feet because we don't want him to be sticky-footed. And you can see that Dawn was giving him a little bit of leg pressure there, asking him with his heels to keep moving forward, turning him. And you can see at this point Gus does not have very good lateral flexion. So Dawn's just going to ask him for little soft turns. And he's riding him on a fairly loose rein, creating contact but not pulling on him. Asking again for the trot, keep his feet moving. And you can see that Gus is a little bit squirty because he's getting used to Dawn's cues. anytime there's a new rider, you know, it's the animal's trying to figure things out. But we feel pretty confident about Gus. You can see he's got a really nice, smooth, clean trot, and his canter is lovely in the pasture. So what Don is saying here now is that Gus just doesn't know anything. He's obviously been ridden. We can tell that, but not particularly well trained. So we're going to continue to work with Gus over the next several months to make sure that he understands about softness, that he can offer us a lighter response, and he's very willing. So he's a kind-hearted animal. We have really high hopes for him. We have people already interested in adopting him. So we're going to try to turn him into a really steady trail mount that the average person can ride. It's not uncommon for Don to give him a break and then to remount and give him a chance to kind of absorb what they've already learned. So here he tried to walk off again, and Don's going to turn him and say, no, I don't want you to walk off immediately like that. And then he's going to let him, once he gets a little bit of flexion, he's going to ask him just to walk forward quietly. And again, Don is riding him with some contact, but not too terribly much. And he likes to let things end on a positive note. So it's just going to be a quiet little walk around. Thank him for being a sweet mule to work with. And that'll be it for today.